Now calling Jack Lindquist for his time. We're going to put Billingsley on deck as well. They'll be followed by Eric Waterman. We'll have 2 up and ready at all times so we can keep this thing flying quickly. We'll have 2 on the track at any time, so please be ready for your time to go. Again, Billingsley coming up now, followed by Waterman, and then Siegel. First up in our qualifiers today, the Pipe Broadmark 200 meter qualifying event for the Master Men and Cat 3 competitors. We have Jack Lindquist going out here. Now, this isn't a competition within itself. We are going to grab out of these qualifying rounds 8 riders. So the 8 fastest times will continue into the sprint tournament, where they'll continue to go through some qualifying rounds to see how far they can go. Yes, I am. Thank you. Waterman is coming on the track, or is currently on track. We have Alex Siegel ready to come out. James Shimada should be checking in, along with Arthur Schocken. They're followed by Guy Mcclintock. Our times for our first 2 riders are in. Jack Lindquist, the time was 11.366. 11.366 for Jack Lindquist. Billingsley, the time 12.957. 12.957 for Billingsley. 12.462 for Waterman. 12.462. Alex Siegel coming in for his time for Head and Speed Racing. James Shimada on the track getting up to speed. Arthur Schocken will be coming out next, followed by Mcclintock and then Mayer. Those riders will be checking in now. Alex Siegel, the time 11.915. 11.915 for Alex. James Shimada, the time 12.51. 12.51 for Shimada. On the track now getting the bell, Schocken. Mcclintock now coming onto track on his first lap. John Mayer is checked in, ready to start. Hans Lofelholz will also be looked for here. They're followed by Hyun Lee. The quick time so far, the 11.366 of the first competitor, Jack Lindquist, our quickest time so far. We have one other rider that's gotten underneath that 12-second mark. We are looking for the fastest 8 to qualify. Arthur Schocken, the time 12.627. 12.627 for Schocken. Guy Mcclintock coming in here for Split Mango Racing. Mcclintock, 12.1. 12.100 for Guy Mcclintock. The bell's ringing for John Mayer. Hans Lofelholz, our third of the Split Mango competitors, now on track for his time. Hans Lofelholz is checked in and ready to go next. On deck is Hyun Lee. They're followed by Tim Johnson. Our riders that are here today are competing in a sprint tournament that will be going on all day long. There are several rounds to this event. The first thing they must do is get through this qualifying round as the top 8 times on the 200 meter. Now you'll notice that they're allowed to get up to full speed before they're in this effort. This simulates what it's like to compete in an actual match sprint. They have the opportunity to get up to speed and then sprint in those final 200 meters as fast as they can. John Mayer's time, 13.999. 13.999 for John Mayer. The fast time still of Jack Lindquist holds at 11.366. Our record time for This event on my sheet shows a time of 11.014, so only 0.3 of a second off. So we know that that was a quick time. A couple of the riders breaking under the 12-second mark. One, actually, that got under that mark. 2 riders on the track at all time. One is in their warm-up lap, so to speak. They get 1 time to get around the track, get gradually up to speed, and accelerate down that back straight across the finish line. And these last 200 meters is where we time them. So you'll see there's a finish line opposite. That's the pursuit line. Looks like a white and black line over there. That's where the timing starts. We'll end it right here underneath where I'm standing. Hyun Lee's getting the bell. So we missed Johnson. Alex Huey coming out, looking for Stephen Grandy and Ken Dong to go ahead and check in, please. Hans Olverhol's time, 12.634. So we're getting Grandy and then Dong ready to go now. They're followed by Lee Diallo. Hyun Lee, 13.084. Getting up to speed is Alex Huey for the Pro City Racing Rumble team. That blue kit up along the rail. Coming into the front straight now. We'll be sending Stephen Grandy out onto the track in a moment. Checked in on deck is Ken Dong, followed by Lee Diallo. They're followed by James Campbell Harris. Quick time for Alex Huey. Time is 12.198. 4th fastest time as it currently stands, with Mcclintock as our 3rd fastest, Siegel as our 2nd, and Lindquist as the fastest time. Grandy on track up to speed. Ken Dong is rolling up to speed on his first lap. Lee Diallo coming up next, followed by James Campbell Harris. The last couple riders in the group, we got Andrew Baker, Frank Kovacs, Christian Miller coming up. Oh, my mistake on those last 2 calls. Kovacs and Miller are on deck, but that's for the elite men, of course. Grandy with a time of 13.773. Stephen Grandy's 13.773. The bell rings for Ken Dong, the rider in the black and pink. Rolling up speed on track is Lee Diallo in that all-black kit rolling up on the rail. James Campbell Harris is the next rider to come on track. He's followed by Baker, the last rider for the Masters group. Then we're going to jump right into the elite men, which will begin with Frank Kovacs, followed by Christian Miller. Ken Dong with a time of 12.517. Currently good to get into the tournament. I believe that puts Arthur Schocken at the time of 12.627 on the bubble. So again, the time of 12.627 is right now the bubble for being in. So anytime slower than that will not be in the tournament, but we'll see if any times can post faster than that in these next couple of riders. This is Lee Diallo looking to get into the tournament. I think Diallo at the time of 12.54 is currently in as he bumps Schocken. So Diallo is in the tournament with a time of 12.54 so far. 2 more qualifiers on track for the Masters Men Cat 3 competitors. One of them is James Campbell-Harris, who's getting up to speed now on the back straight. The rider in the black and yellow for Pied Broadmark will be our last rider for this field, hoping to get into the tournament today. Frank Kovacs is checked in, ready to go, followed by Christian Miller. Those are the riders we're looking for. Campbell-Harris with a time of 13.637. 13.637. And the final rider in the Masters in the Cat 3 men is on track. And in just a moment, Frank Kovacs is getting up to speed here. There he is along the rail. We'll see him in a lap. That is the first rider for the Elite Men qualifiers. So we're actually into a new field. Same rules apply, and the same system is going to be used. As you can imagine, we're doing a tournament bracket, so your time not only ensures that you get into the bracket, but if you are the fastest time, you are seated against the slowest remaining time, so you get an advantage in the early bits of the tournament. Baker's time, 11.848, one of our 3 to get sub 12. So the second fastest time, I believe, there for our qualifiers. And I believe that might push Diallo out of the tournament, as he might have been on the bubble. We will post that shortly. Again, the time for Baker was 11.848. Frank Kovacs for the Elites, the first time to come in here, just now crossing the line. Arthur Schocken to the ready area, followed by David Richter. We're going to get you guys checked in. Schocken followed by Richter. Our first time in the Elite Men comes in at 12.08 for Frank Kovacs. So a quick time to start it off. Just to keep an idea of it, the track record here at the Velodrome is a 10.556 for a 200-meter time. So anything that gets close to 11 seconds is a quick 200-meter, that's for sure. Christian Miller coming across the line. Schocken not present currently at the spot. We're looking for Richter and O'Mara to check in. Richter and O'Mara. Christian Miller, the time is 11.885, a sub 12 second. 11.885. Now looking for Andy O'Mara and Stephen McLaughlin to check in. All right, and here is Arthur Schocken for the U.S. Military Endurance Sports team. Looks like Richter will not be competing here if we don't see him in a moment. So Andy O'Mara is checking in. We'll go ahead and call Mcclintock. They're followed by Nick Martinez. Coming on track now is Andy O'Mara. The bell's ringing for Arthur Schocken. Behind O'Mara, we have Mcclintock checking in, followed by Martinez. The next rider after that will be Jack Lindquist. .334 is our time for Schocken. The quick time so far for the elite men, our second competitor, Christian Miller, with a time of 11.885. In this case, 12 qualify, but again, there are benefits for quick speeds. So the riders are still competing to try and set the best time they possibly can here in this qualifying event. Unlike our last group, we do have 12 qualifying, so a lot of these riders will continue on. Again, part of this, though, is how do you get seated? There are more starters than we have spots, so there will be a point where we do a cutoff. Mcclintock getting up to speed. Martinez coming onto track. We're looking for Lindquist now to check in. He's followed by Gooch and then Christensen, our next couple riders up. Again, that rider up to speed is Stephen Mcclintock for Bike Central. Our new fast time in the group so far by Mcclintock is 11.578. Just a moment ago, Andy O'Mara with a time of 11.989. So a couple of sub 12 second times here. Again, Mcclintock, the new fast time, 11.578. Martinez getting up to speed for Broadmark Capital Team. Jack Lindquist coming up. Gooch should be checking in. Robert Gooch checking in. On deck, Joe Christensen, followed by Keith Bruneau. Martinez, 13.665. 13.665 for Nick Martinez. There are 16 starters, so 4 riders will not be moving forward out of this round. That's Jack Lindquist getting the bell. Robert Gooch coming on the track now. Checking in next should be Joe Christensen with Keith Bruneau on deck, followed by Brent Berg. Lindquist with a new quick time so far of 11.511. 11.511 is the time for Lindquist. So far, pretty close matchup in the riders that are showing these sub 12-second times. And we'll see where we come in again. 4 riders aren't going to make it into the tournament, so it is important to get a good time here in these early rounds. Robert Gooch getting the bell. Christensen on track, followed by Bruneau. Brent Berg should also be ready to go. They are followed by Nolan Adams. Robert Gooch, your time is 12.532. 12.532. Joe Christensen will be the rider to get the bell next. As he comes by, we're going to send Keith Bruneau onto the track. Bruneau's followed by Brent Berg, and then Nolan Adams. Don't forget to look out for Dennis around here this morning, taking photos. They're good shots of you in your time trial efforts. If you're looking for that, you can find them online after racing is completed. He's around. dbcphoto.com. We'll have lots of great shots from all the racing action this weekend. Again, you can go there, dbcphoto.com, one of our sponsors in 2019. Partners helping make our track racing happen this year. Christensen, the time is 11.105. Keith Bruneau on track, getting at the speed as the rider coming on to the home straight now. We're going to send Brent Berg onto the track. Checked in behind him. It looks like Nolan Adams is ready to go. Following him will be Tyler Davies. The time for Christensen is the new fast time, 11.105, just a tenth of a second off breaking that 11-second mark. And as stated earlier, anything within that 11-second area is a very quick time here at our track. We'll keep our eyes on Christensen, currently at the top of the competition for the qualifier. We'll see where the next couple of riders come in. There's still plenty of fast finishers to see here. Keith Bruneau's time, 12.019. Bruneau, 12.019. Brent Berg for Cyclemeister is getting the bell. Nolan Adams coming on track. Tyler Davies checking in. On deck is Joshua Hartman. We do have a lot of times floating around the 12-second mark. We'll see how many of those riders above the 12-second are going to be clipped out of this tournament. It really depends on the next 4 or 5 riders and where they slot in. Brent Berg gets an 11.769. 11.769 for Brent Berg. Our 4th fastest time so far for Berg, so certainly into the tournament, as there's not enough riders to bump him out. Left, we've got 4 times left to get. Here's Adams getting the bell. Tyler Davies is coming on the track right now. We're looking for Hartman to check in. On deck is Carlberg, our final competitor for the qualifiers. Nolan Adams, the time is 12.544. Adams with the time, 12.544. Tyler Davies on his warm-up lap. We have Josh Pro, number 104, in position ready to start momentarily. He'll be followed by the last competitor for the qualifiers, Andrew Carlberg. The Keirins are coming up for our elite women. The Greg's Keirin heats, our first round for those competitors. Do remember to allocate some resources to finding your holders before we start. Davies time, 11.434. 11.434 for our BC competitor, Tyler Davies. That time puts Nolan Adams officially, number 106, on the bubble, still in the tournament. Josh Pro, our New Yorker, gets the bell, running for start track. The Peloton crew is excited to hear that name. Our last rider for the qualifiers is on track now. It's Carlberg's getting his warm-up lap, and here comes Josh Pro for his time. Hartman, the time is 11.248, currently second fastest, just behind your teammate. 11.248 for Hartman, 11.248. Our final time to be set. Come up here in just a moment. Bell's ringing for Carlberg at the Pipe Broadmark Capital team. Looking to join our 12 qualifiers, our last rider, bib number 101. Our local leader in the Omnium for our Cat 1-2 field here at the Velodrome. And the new quick time in the competition will go to Carlberg with a time of 10.949. 10.949, our only sub 11 today. So that is a nice result for him. We will continue on with that event soon. We are now going to quickly set ourselves up for the Keirins. We have heats for the elite women. Heat A is Godby, Ho, De Ercole, Book, Lewis, and Wilson. Heat B, McKinnon, McKee, Williams, Bessler, Hewitt, Sempere. Heat C, Coaster, Fox, Sanderson, Cushion, Littimore, McClockery, and McNary. We'll make sure to do a pre-draw as best we can to try to keep ourselves good on schedule. So we'll call our first heat now to the ready area. You can look for one of our volunteers in the black shirt there in the middle of the home straight there. He's got the bag ready to do the draw. So calling Heat A now, and in just a moment I'll call for Heat B. Heat A, Godby, Ho, De Ercole, Book, Lewis, and Wilson. Please head to the ready area for your Keirin heats. This is an appropriate moment if any of our infield athletes need to make a crossing around with the track, which is right in between our races. This is an okay time to do that as we are between Keirin heats. That is a good time to cross. Thank you. Out of the Greg's Women's Elite Keirin heats, top two advance to the semifinals. We will continue to see the other riders ride in what's called the repechage, which is a second chance to make it in. So if you don't make that top two at this point, you are not eliminated outright. You get a second chance, but you do have to ride one more ride before you get to carry on into the semifinal round. So it is the longer route to get there, but it does offer another opportunity to continue the competition. And it's a fun format for us to watch and see how our riders can handle with the challenge. Coming up here first, we have Heat A in these Keirin heats. Again, out of these 6 riders in each heat, we will only move 2 forward immediately. The rest will have to come back again during the session to ride in the reps, which will happen in a few minutes after. We're going to have the Masters Cat 3 men quarterfinals for the sprints coming up after the Keirin heats. Then the elite men will come back for their first round of sprints. Then we'll come back to the rep ride for the elite women in this Keirin. The Keirins are brought to us by our friends at Greg Cycles. You can find their 3 convenient locations in Alderwood, Bellevue, and Seattle. Check them out online and know that they have been around for years and they are family owned, provide the best service and products you can get. Check them out, and they are, of course, year in and year out, one of our best sponsors in helping make racing viable. Our thanks to Greg Cycles for helping sponsor this year's Keirin events at the Grand Prix. In this field down in lane 1, we have Rebecca Book on her right going up to lane 2. It's Madeline Godby, Kira Lewis, Christine de Ercole, Jennifer Wilson, and on the outside is Selena Ho, our group of 6, about ready to get started. There's the signal for our pacer to go off. Now the Keirin, if you haven't watched one of these before, a 4-lap event, 2.5 laps. That pacer is going to bring this group up to speed right in that 30-mile-an-hour sweet zone to get them up to a good tempo to launch them for their race however they want to race it after that. So they'll have a lap and a half to go after the pacer gets out of their way. We'll see how this first group chooses to race it. The sound of the gun signals the beginning of the race, and the riders are going to line up behind the pacer in the order that they drew. So rider 1, Rebecca Book, down in that bottom lane, will be the first one. And then as they fanned up towards the rail, that's the order that they will be in behind the pacer. First lap, pretty casual pace. Gets them a chance to just kind of settle into their lineup, make sure everybody's settled in well, and then we'll start to slowly ratchet that speed up each lap we go around with the pacer. With a lap and a half to go, the pacer pulls off. They'll hear the bell as they're coming out of turn 4, and then they're on a full-out sprint. This is not the end of their day for the Keirin. After they race this, the top 2 will be able to cool down and put away their gear and rest before tonight. The other 4 are going to have to keep their stuff on and get ready for a second effort in the reps to try to make it in. There you see the pace is a little bit quicker. It's a gradual increase for sure. Trying to be as steady as possible using that Trek e-bike provided to us through our partnership with Greg Cycles to help keep this Keirin nice and consistent, also have a good readout. It's a little bit more stealthy than our former solutions of having the gas-powered motored bikes in front. Now you can really see the speed in the final couple turns is really going to start accelerating. Now it's up to the riders if they want to keep that tempo or not. With a lap and a half to go, sometimes there's a reset. You'll see the field just kind of backpedal a little bit, pull up to the right, slow down, bunch back up again. That's their choice. Sometimes it'll launch the straight-out attack, the big 600-meter effort. Here, Book will pull up to the right, giving a little bit of room for other riders to start bunching up underneath her. At the front is now Madeline Godby. Everybody kind of getting in behind her. She's looking over the right shoulder, wondering if I'm one that's going to have to start this thing. 2 qualify for the semis. Right now, it's Godby still in that lead position. Derricollet starting to slot herself up to the front, too. You can see her pushing some power down into turn 2. Up and out of the saddle, both Ercole and Godby. Godby still has the lead position. A rider for USA Cycling in the white and blue. Now Derricollet sliding into the sprinter's lane. Might be in a good spot to hold on to this one. Here comes Selena Ho also charging in. It's still Godby, Derricollet, Godby, Derricollet. And she will make it in. So our top 2 there, again, unofficially, Derricollet and Godby making it into the next round. I have a feeling what she was telling herself before she started. Do you guys think you know? I am, I can, I will, I do. Oh, yeah. Team Peloton's happy to see her carry on in the semis, so she actually gets to cool down along with Godby as they are done with racing this session. Coming up next, our second heat. Heat B, McKinnon, McKee, Williams, Bessler, Hewitt, and Sempre are coming on track. Heat C will come on over for the pre-draw. Coaster, Fox, Sanderson, Cushion, Littimore, McClockery, and McNary. Elspeth Hewitt was drawn position 1, so she's down in the sprinter's lane to start the race. Coming up towards the rail, Rachel McKinnon on their right. Louisa Sempre in lane 3, lane 4, Annette Williams. It's Micaiah Bessler taking up the 5th lane, and in lane 6 is McKenna McKee, our 6 in this group. Once again, two will move directly to semifinals. Our field is too big so far in the semis. We got to add some more riders. We will also look to add more through the reps later today in this session. Elspeth taking that wheel, the rider in blue, as they are now required to do so by the rules. That order that they draw is also the order behind the bike. That used to be flexible a number of years ago. Riders would actually attack to try to get into position. They are allowed to shuffle after they get past the initial part of this first lap. They can begin to change position, but initially they must fall into that order. So we'll see them as called a moment ago, coming through on the straight and starting to accelerate at 3 to go. On deck again, heat C for the Keirins. We are going to proceed following that heat to the Masters Cat 3 men Pyatt Broadmark Sprint quarterfinals. The first ride, the first heat in that group is Lindquist versus Dong. Ding, ding, ding. The bike pulls to the left, and the group is now allowed to race it however they wish. A little bit of slowing from the leader rider right now. Everybody's starting to bunch up behind her. Looking a little bit familiar like last heat. Instead of Godby, Prix Cycling, it's now our Silverline Racing presented by I Am, I Can, I Will, I Do. Elspeth Hewitt in the blue. Still defending that lead position. Now starting to pick up some pace. A little bit mobile in and out of that sprinter's lane, but riders are respecting the space. It's working out okay at the front. Now here comes McKenna McKee all the way on the outside. She moved her way up in the previous lap. Now she's got a good run at it. So McKee leading the lap coming out of the turn. It's McKinnon trying to catch up with that tempo. The top two advance. McKinnon's checking. Is anybody else coming? Trying to use just enough power. And McKinnon, unofficially, along with McKee, are the advancing riders. Number 4, there's a relegation for entering the sprinter's lane while occupied in the last race. Number 4 is relegated. That comes along with a warning from the officials. Again, relegation number 4. I believe the unofficial call change on that would be Bessler, the third one across the line, finds herself advancing into the semis. The next 7 riders coming up in this final heat. Sprints for the Masters Cat 3 men. You are set to come next. And the pace is on its way. Our last 2 to qualify directly to the semis will be found here in this ride. Following this event, we go into the quarterfinals for the Masters men, Cat 3 men. They are followed by the Elite men, Sprint Round 1. Seeing 2 to go as they come around this time. Speed is starting to pick up. Our last heat to qualify 2 riders. The Pipe Broadmark Sprint Tournament does carry on soon for the Masters men and Cat 3 men, as well as the Elite men's first round in the Sprint Tournament for them. Starting to see some reshuffling here as the pacer pulls out of the way. So move from the very back of the field all the way up towards the front. And this looks familiar once again. It's about 70% of the speed that they were dropped off at as they kind of wait just a little bit. It gives a chance for everybody to come on up and join the front. 1 to go. Emily McNary for Grown Rogue Cycling is the rider at the front of the field. She was put there from the draw at the beginning of the race. Tight through turn 2. Riders looking for space to come out and around. Now McNary getting taken over. Coming through turn 4, looking for 2 riders to immediately advance. And that will be Ivy Coaster and Kaya Littimore. Pipe Broadmark Masters Sprint Tournament. Heat 1 is Lindquist and Dong. On deck is Baker and Shimada. Looking for a front wheel. Looking for a front wheel for number 6. We're looking for some help to find a front wheel for number 6. Ken Dong is the rider in the black with some pink accents there for Dyna Racing. Behind him, I was just recently reminded, as I should know these important facts, the current record holder for our Masters in the 200 meter, Jack Lindquist. Riding in the pink regalia, his look for racing here on the track. On the infield, the Omni results as of so far through the end of last night, that is been posted on the infield. So if you want to know where your standings are as of so far, for the Omniums, not including any of the events today, obviously, so far, you can check out what's been posted on the infield. Now we're back to the sprints. We are in these match sprint formats now, and this is following those 200-meter qualifiers. So the riders that are now racing have qualified via their 200-meter time. We have, for Dyna Racing, Ken Dong taking on Jack Lindquist. Now, by the seeding of the tournament, the most disadvantaged situation here will happen in these first couple as the top seed takes on the 8th seed in the first round. So a bit of a hill to climb for Ken Dong in this first matchup. Right now, he's trying to play it as calmly as he can. Really a conservative first lap while he leaves Lindquist several bike lengths behind him. Why would somebody leave all that space? Well, it gives Jack a lot of opportunity to run him up. Especially when he's up against the rail like they both are. They've got a lot of room to work with on their left-hand side, and the fastest way to accelerate your bike is to use the hill to help you get there. A lot of times on our track, riders are going to do it right around here somewhere. A little bit of hesitation. They're taking it down to the last few hundred meters. And now Ken Dong seeing that there's a bit of a ramp up from Lindquist. He tries to match him in the sprinter's lane rather than try to be up to speed before the sprint happens. Now Lindquist will take it around the right-hand side, and it looks like Lindquist will be the one advancing. We will see Ken Dong later in the rep ride for the sprints. Make that the 5 through 8 ride. There is a rep ride for the elite men during our schedule, but not for the Masters, as there are 8 qualifiers for the Masters in Cat 3, while there are 12 qualified for the elite men. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here today, this is our 4th session of the Vision Grand Prix. Session 5 is tonight starting at 7 o'clock. And we'd encourage you to come on back and enjoy the ending of these events. We're going to be concluding our Elite Women's Keirin as well as the Elite Men and Masters Cat 3 Men sprint tournaments during that evening session. So these are really just the setup rounds. So if you're at all intrigued by this, the story continues well on into the evening as we will begin our evening session at 7. We encourage families to come on back in around 6:30. They can find a good seat around the track, watch the warm-up, enjoy the music, hear what's going on at the track throughout the year, and then, of course, come on over and check out the booths, the food trucks, and the adult beverage garden that'll be opened up during the evening. A Stanley Beverage Garden will be open starting at around 6 o'clock, where we'll be serving up some great drinks coming our way of Mac and Jack's Brewery, OS Winery, and Locust Ciders. Food trucks will be rolling in to serve in the hour before racing starts, so you can get your picnic food taken care of out of a food truck and then enjoy all of the great racing action here in the summer sun at the Velodrome. Bell's ringing for 1 to go. Our 2 riders nearly side by side for a moment there as they're watching each other closely. Shimada, the rider lower and positioning for corner 4 racing, is watching over the right hand side, trying to see where Andy Baker is. Positioning important in the chess match that is sprinting. Baker begins to run at him a little bit underneath, and Shimada now has to be the one to try to recover quickly. If he can get up to a little bit closer to that rear wheel, Shimada has a slight advantage, but right now he is highly disadvantaged as he's a little bit too far off the pace of Baker coming through turn 4. A nice response from Shimada, still making a run at it. Baker does a second effort when he looks over his shoulder to see Shimada's charging him down, and he doesn't have enough time to cover. Two riders up again on this, now the third of our 4 heats. We'll have our last heat ready to go. It looks like our riders have been doing a good job getting themselves into their ready positions, so we appreciate that. Our final heat with Mcclintock and Huey will be coming up in just a moment. Riders that win this do move on into the next round of the tournament, so they continue working their way towards those finals. The semi-final rounds will be following this for these riders. They get some rest before that. The rider that comes across the line second will be moving to a 5th through 8th place ride. That'll be their final ride where they determine, we call those the lesser positions, the 5th through 8th place. On track right now, it's Eric Waterman, the rider in the black and pink for Dyna Racing. Head and speed, represented by Alex Siegel, is the rider just a little bit behind him and up towards the rail. The rider with the faster qualifying time is Siegel, the rider in the all black. However, as we work our way down through these heats here in the early rounds of the sprints, the times do get closer, so we tend to see a little bit more competition here in the 3rd and 4th rounds. And pure speed is not the only way to win a sprint. A lot of times it has to do with your timing and your tactics. The tactic here, use the earlier part of the turn to try to accelerate rather than waiting for turn 2. Siegel does a nice job finding his way back up to the rear wheel, which gives him some advantage here as long as he can carry the momentum on his sprint through turn 4. And Siegel will carry that speed effectively and find his way to the line. We'll see Siegel again in the semis. Last group up for the Masters Cat 3 men. Quarterfinals here is Mcclintock and Huey. The elite men on deck should be Karlberg and Schocken. That's heat 1 of the elite men. They're followed by Joe Christensen and Frank Kovacs.
Let's go.
So there was a couple changes that I was not privy to. We do have Robert Gooch in this first heat for the elite men, so they are on deck. Our riders waiting here through the straightaway. Now just finally getting up to speed is Mcclintock, the rider on the inside position for Split Mango Racing, is going to take the sprinter's lane now. He's got a good spot. He's got the shorter lane, but Huey's got the slipstream effect going now, trying to use that draft to get around him. A good sprint here for the qualifier. Mcclintock on the inside will hold on. In a nice sprint there for the head-up matchup. That's going to be, again, Mcclintock, the advancer there. Now we carry on with the sprint tournament now for the elite men. Heat 1 is Andrew Karlberg and Robert Gooch. Heat 2, Joe Christensen, Arthur Schocken. Now, with 12 qualifiers, this works a little bit differently. We are going to have a repechage for the sprint tournament here for the elite men. So we have 6 heats. Out of the 6 heats, 6 will be qualifying to go directly to semis. That leaves 2 spots. We need 8 riders for a semifinal. So we're going to use, for the quarterfinals. Out of the riders that are here in this group, we'll use those reps, which will be 4 riders remaining. They have to ride again and win in that second ride. That'll find 2 more to qualify into the quarterfinals, making a group of 8. So there is a second route available for the riders that don't make it in initially. The reps will allow us to kind of figure that out in the next round. Those will be 3-up rides, of course, to enable all 6 of our riders to have a spot to fight for the rep. Bell's ringing for 1 to go. Heat 2 is coming up next for the elite men. Christensen and Schocken, they are followed by Hartman and Kovacs. It's Karlberg still in the leading position, the rider in all blue for Elite Racing. Robert Gooch trying to match the tempo on the rear wheel as they slowly begin to ramp it up to top speed through the turns. Karlberg putting down pressure on the right here through the turn, and it's enough to hold off Gooch to the finish line. Number 179, that is our rider Arthur Schocken for the U.S. Military Endurance Sports Team, is beginning to accelerate almost immediately. Not a usual thing in the match sprints, but he's going to force Joe Christensen up to a pretty quick tempo on this first lap. Trying to force some kind of response from the Star Trek rider. He knows that the 200-meter times are pretty different between the two of them, as we're still in these earlier rounds where there's a bigger mismatch. Getting 1 to go. Christensen's found his wheel, and he says, sure, this is not a bad lead-out position, so now thinking about how to reconfigure it, he'll pull up to the right and force Christensen to take the lead position. Now he'll have to respond in kind to see if he can do the same thing, get on the rear wheel, and then sprint in the final moments. Christensen now in a straight-up 300-some meter effort for himself, providing a little bit of draft for Schocken to try to work in. Christensen able to hold it off. Star Trek will be advancing. Hartman and Kovacs are coming up next. On deck is Davies and O'Mara. The two riders in this heat, we have Frank Kovacs riding on the inside lane in that white-colored jersey for the Cyclemeisters team on his right side, slightly behind him. Also for Star Trek is Joshua Hartman, known as Josh Pro, one of our New York competitors, flying here from the other coast to compete today. We continue to find one rider from each of these rides to move on. to the the quarterfinal rounds. Keep getting ahead of myself here. This round one of the sprints in its third heat. Kovacs, the rider, leading them out of the turn now. Hartman dancing on the pedals a little bit, using the left and right space. He's just playing some cat and mouse, as we like to think of it, as just, hey, where am I now? Where am I now? Keep your eyes on me. Am I going to go right? Am I going to go left? And as Kovacs is taking up the part of a track where actually lanes on either side are available, but the one over the right-hand side is longer. If you try to attack over that shoulder, you're going to need to accelerate before you get to dive down. And that's exactly what Kovacs would like to see him try to do. So that's why he's got his shoulder guarded there. He's looking over that right side, saying, all right, come this way, go ahead. And he'll take the left lane, slow down really quickly, accelerate down into the sprinter's lane. He lost the hill, though, so he has to do it based off just his muscle power. Side by side coming through the turns. Hartman coming out of the turn at the front here. Star Trek trying to close it down, looking to use just enough, and it looks like he'll be able to make it into the next round. Josh Pro advancing. Davies and O'Mara coming on track. On deck is Lindquist and Miller. Andy O'Mara's got that brightly colored kit down there in the sprinter's lane in the lead position. He'll immediately take the lowest part of the track. Right behind him is Tyler Davies. One rider to continue on to those quarterfinals as we continue on with these qualifying rounds. These are all just the setup for the big finishes later on tonight. I see some more folks riding in through the park today, checking out what's happening here today. This is the 2019 Vision Grand Prix, our annual national class event where we bring in the fastest riders we can possibly get in our area and across the states, and even sometimes internationally. We have some Australians flying in to join us today, some Canadians competing. In fact, one on the track right now. We've got the fastest racing of our season here on this weekend every year. This is our 4th out of 5 sessions, so we had some excitement last night, a whole lot of it. We've got one more evening session tonight, 7 p.m., where the Stanley Beverage Garden will be opened back up again. Our friends at Stanley are supporting us this year with their fantastic products and helping us put together a great beverage garden with our adult beverages served from Mac and Jack's Brewery, Locust Cider, and Otis Winery. You can also get food out of the food trucks that'll be here this evening. And not just the sprints and the Keirins that you've seen in this session, but we're also going to have mass start events. So you get to see fields of 35, 40 riders out here on our track. And it is an event you should not miss if you've got a chance to come back here tonight. I should mention the $5 gate admission, but you'll find it's worth the price of admission. Coming side by side now, Davies comes down to the sprinter's lane. O'Mara's trying to match tempo. He has the longer lane, and he doesn't have the slipstream right now, so he's not sitting in any kind of draft. As they come out of the turn, Andy O'Mara's going to be forced to try to do a second-ditch effort here. Whoa! He almost had that second work effort, too. That's what I'm talking about. He gets in the slipstream. That gives him a chance to ramp it back up again. He almost did it. Just not enough track space to work with. And Tyler Davis was smart. He knew that if he wasn't looking, he might get surprised by that. So he's looking over his shoulder, waiting to see that second effort. he saw it and put in just enough to hold on. Coming on the track now is Lindquist and Miller. They are followed by our last heat, Mcclintock and Berg. After that heat, we continue on with the Keirin reps for the elite women. Those lists have been posted if you hadn't had a chance to check. In the pink kit in the second wheel position right now is Jack Lindquist. In front of him in the all black is Christian Miller. Lindquist, one of our Portland area competitors. An annual site here for the GP. And in front of him, Christian Miller, one of our local competitors here. Practically every week racing now for the 10-Speed Hero team. By the 200-meter qualifiers, these times should be getting a bit closer. So timing and tactics becomes more of an element in these races as the pure top speed becomes less different between the riders. As those numbers get closer and closer, we expect riders to try and be more creative. And here's one way they can do that. As slow as you can go, using the back pressure on the tires there to try to hold yourself upright. You can just push back on your pedals on these fixed gear bikes and attempt to do a quick little track stand and maybe force a rider's positioning to change. Looked like Miller was the one trying to engage that, as maybe he wants to see Jack move somewhere else on the track besides right behind him. Both riders taking it pretty calmly through turns 3 and 4 as Miller looking over his right shoulder with the bell ringing, waiting to see what Jack might do. We've seen this position before. There's enough room to go to the right side of him, but that is kind of a hard lane to take. It's better for him to try to dive down left because that'll allow Jack to get a lot of speed out of the hill. So he's thinking about what lane to take. He actually starts coming up side by side with Christian, so now no lane available to his left. He's kind of stuck there unless he slows back down again. This is part of that positioning battle as we come right into the final moments before the full-on speed comes. It looks like as they're coming out of the hill, they're still just kind of barely pushing down the pedals. Now we see this gradual roll-up as Miller's going to continue to use the hill, and now he's going to come out of the saddle. Pretty short distance sprint, about 150 meters or so. Now Miller coming into it at good speed. Lindquist having to try to do a second effort to get around, and he's got the speed needed. Whoa. Lindquist will take the heat in a very close matchup, and as predicted, it gets a little bit closer here as we get at the final couple heats. Stephen Mcclintock for Bike Central is the rider. Further down in the black with the white checkerboard on there. To his right for Cyclemeister is Brent Berg, and that white kit is getting clipped in and ready to go. This will be our last heat for round 1 of these sprints for the elite men. On deck will be the first of 2 heats for the elite women's Keirin. We have the reps coming up. Heat A is Ho, Hewitt, Cushion, Williams, Lewis, Sanderson, and Fox. Those riders will want to head to the ready area here and be ready for the Keirin shortly. Heat B will be after them. We will take 3 more from the reps to advance further on into the Keirins. Mcclintock in the lead position. Brent Berg about a bike length off behind him as they move towards the rail now and begin to slow as they approach that pursuit line where they're allowed to come to a stop if they wish. And Mcclintock is going to do just that. He's using the right part of the track. If we just look at their 200-meter time, they were very much neck and neck in their qualifying times. So Mcclintock will force a change of position by slowing down, or at least creates one, as Berg will move forward. Both riders taking this first lap really patiently. They know that flipping on that switch and the timing of that move is going to be important. Going really slow into your sprint is more going to favor the twitch muscles, the quick response riders that are able to translate a lot of power into the legs quickly. Both of these riders seem to be built around that idea for the most part, so we're going to see if that's how they carry themselves through these turns and try to put on a quick acceleration. And Berg will actually bring it up pretty gradually. He's using the hill to get there. Rolling it up. He's got that bike link still on Mcclintock, who now is going to start to feel the benefit of the draft as he gets into the rear wheel of Berg. It gives him a little chance to try to catch up. And now the effort needed out of turn 4 from Mcclintock versus Berg. Coming to the line. Mcclintock's on path to get it. A good acceleration from him out of the turn will carry him to the line ahead of Berg. Mcclintock will be the one moving on. That is our last rider to qualify directly to the quarterfinal round. We will have a set of reps for the other 6 riders. Coming up now, the Greg Cycles Elite Women Keirin reps. Heat A of Selena Ho, Elspeth Hewitt, Julia Cushion, Annette Williams, Kira Lewis, Hannah Sanderson, and Lizanne Fox are coming up. They are followed by Heat B, Luisa Sempre, Alexandra McLaughlin, Jennifer Wilson, Rebecca Book, Emily McNary, and Rachel McKinnon. So these riders here haven't found their way into the next round just yet, so they're coming out for a second attempt. There are more that qualify from this round, though. 3 riders get to advance out of this event here, so that'll carry them into the semifinal round if they can get there. 3 riders advancing from Heat A and Heat B to join the 2 riders from previous heats. That would be 6 in the previous 3 heats that we've already seen. Just about ready to get this group started. And the sound of the gun, we will get this thing going. 4 to go. Lizanne Fox is the rider drawing for the first position. She'll slot in right behind the pacer. Hannah Sanderson, another one of our Australian competitors, is in second in the lineup there, right behind her Australian teammate. Another one of our riders crossing over the Pacific to join us from Australia, Selena Ho, St. George Cycling Club, is the 3rd rider in the group. One of our locals, Annette Williams, for Center Cycles, trying to get into this Keirin event, is the 4th in the group, right behind her a teammate, Kira Lewis, another one of our local competitors. The last 2 in the group, we've got Elspeth Hewitt of the Silverline Racing, presented by I Am, I Can, I Will, I Do, the rider in the blue, 2nd from the back. And finally, Julia Cushion of the Razzle Dazzle team make up our rep group. 3 riders will advance. Don't need to win the event to carry forth, so the riders are going to try to use just enough of energy today to continue on to the next round. 2 to go. If you're curious about what we're doing here, not just about the Vision Grand Prix, but more questions about what is this Velodrome thing and how does it operate, what's going on here throughout the rest of the year, the best place to send you, if you have more questions or want information, I got to point you to our website. Easy to remember, velodrome.org. We'd send you there to take a look and learn more about the racing programs and classes that we offer here at our facility. And the bell is ringing. It's still Fox on the front. She's not in full sprint mode for sure. She comes across that line. She is definitely waiting for something to occur over the right side. We've seen that a lot in our Keirins here this year, as the riders at the front know that everyone's right behind them, benefiting from their lead work. They don't want to work too hard, just enough to keep the race moving. It's an awfully difficult position to be in. Looks like that's going to be Hewitt moving up towards the front. Coming through the turn, it looks like Elspeth Hewitt leading it out. Liz Ann Fox having enough speed to get away from the rest of the crew here. And Annette Williams will be the third of those three qualifiers. Moving on. As Heat B comes up for the reps, we're going to carry on here momentarily with the Masters and Cat 3 men's semi-final rides. The first of those rides will be coming up next. That semifinal round begins with Lindquist versus Mcclintock. They are followed by Baker versus Siegel. Pace is on its way for this rep heat. Out of our 6 riders starting, 3 will get into the next round. Getting the wheel first, that'll be Becca Book. Rachel McKinnon will slot in behind her. And Jennifer Wilson is the third rider in that group. They're joined by Louisa Sempre, Alexander McLaughlin, and Jennifer Wilson to complete that field of 6. Pride Bodrock Masters Sprint Tournament does carry on soon. Our next heat already getting positioned. Lindquist and Mcclintock will be followed by Andrew Baker and Alex Siegel. Coming up here soon. Two to go. Pushes out of the way and the bell's ringing. It's already starting to spread out a little bit here. Razzle Dazzle trying to push the pace. And as Jennifer Wilson wants to make a longer distance effort here. Rachel McKinnon doing a nice job finding pace as well, getting through turns 4 and finding some space for herself. Just needs to be in the top 3, so they're already starting to look around and wondering who else is going to come up here to challenge now. As Wilson's putting in a big effort. The third rider making it will be McLaughlin from the Bike Central group. Good to see the sportsmanship there from the two making it in at the back end of that between McLaughlin and McKinnon. There'll be 2 out of our 3 making it in from that heat, continuing on into the semifinal round of the Keirins. Our elite women are finished up for the session, so they can begin their cooldowns and get themselves rested up, because we've got plenty more racing to go today, but they are done in this 4th session. The rest of our time here today is going to be committed to continuing on our sprint tournaments. As the Broadmark tournament with our Masters men, Cat 3 men continue now with this first heat in the semifinal round. Our competitors here are now competing to see who goes where. So there's no elimination from the sprint tournament. They get 1 shot to determine if they're going to be racing for 1st and 2nd place or racing for 3rd and 4th place. So that's how that works. They've made it far enough into the tournament. There are 4 riders left in the Masters and Cat 3 men group. Out of those 4, half of them are going to go to ride in a best of 3 for 1st and 2nd place. The other half will be going to a best of 3 for 3rd and 4th place. So here's where the top spaces are. Of course, both these riders would love to be competing for 1st and 2nd place, but even if they don't make it in there, they can still be competing for a medal spot, that bronze medal level in the 3rd place finish. Still a good place to be. They had to get here by qualifying with the 200 meters. They had to then make it through. They had to then make it through a quarterfinal round to make it to this point. Split Mango is represented by the competitor Guy Mcclintock. That's the black and yellow kit. Silver riders from that team represented here today. Jack Lindquist, our 200-meter record holder for his flying 200 effort. The 10.8 time set here at our track is right behind him in the pink, so we know he's got top speed, no question. Both these riders lean and mean. They are built to go at top speeds. Right now, demonstrating their patience before the top speed is on display. Mcclintock is side by side with Lindquist. He's the rider a little bit further down track. Now, if Lindquist turns left right now, he's going to run right into Mcclintock, and that's part of the strategy here as they go into this back hill. Pretty even advantage, though, if they're side by side like this, and there's really no hill left to use unless they go back up the embank here into turn 3, which they will do. Mcclintock's happy to just keep Lindquist up here as long as he can. It's going to be an all-out sprint out of turn 4. This is a highly delayed move here, but Lindquist now has the run of it coming down the hill against Mcclintock. An interesting take on it. Didn't pay off for Mcclintock, but I like the new move there. Trying to delay that sprint as long as possible. Lindquist will find his way to the line ahead of our Split Mango rider. Next heat up is Baker and Siegel in a head-to-head. Once again, determining who will be racing for the gold and silver positions, or who will be going for the bronze. On deck will be the Pi Broadmark Sprint for 5th through 8th place. The 5 through 8 ride is coming up next. Those riders, Ken Dong, James Shimada, Eric Waterman, and Alex Huey. Off we go. That's Alex Siegel in the middle of the track, wearing the mostly black with some blue highlights there. The pink socks on his right-hand side. Just a little bit behind him now is Andy Baker for Pi Broadmark Management. Just like the last race, these riders are all guaranteed a spot in more sprinting. There's no question about that. They will continue to ride today in the sprint tournament. Now the question is are they competing for first and second or third and fourth? That's what this one ride determines. On deck is the ride for 5th through 8th place in the sprint. That will be those riders' last chance today to compete in the sprint tournament, and we'll find the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place riders from that group. 5th place does find its way onto the podiums, so there is prestige in the group, and there will be riders competing for that first spot across the line out of those 4. Podiums for all the racing that's going on now will be occurring at the end of tonight's session, since we will not be concluding them until our 7 p.m. racing tonight. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on here at the track, we have some savvy with the social media things. Might point you in the direction of Twitter and Instagram, where you can find us by looking for the channel at JB Velodrome. Again, our handle is at JB Velodrome on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook. Search for the Jerry Baker Memorial Velodrome, where you can give us a thumbs up, and then you'll get notifications of what we post there. We're also streaming the action live. If you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, we do love it. You can go to YouTube and search in the search bar JB space Velodrome. That's JB space Velodrome. That's the easiest way to pop up our channel. Give us a quick follow there and get that alerts turned on so that when we stream, you know that we've got racing going on here at the track. That bell's ringing, and these riders are really holding on to the tempo here. Siegel and Baker nearly side by side. This was called the sprints. Well, this is part of it. If top speed's your game, then you don't want to pull the trigger at the wrong time. Flipping the switch is the really critical moment in this kind of a race. Both of these riders are coming into this event with some kind of strategy or game plan that they want to try to employ. One way or another, that's worked out in such a way that now we're all the way into corners 1 and 2 here, right in the middle of the ramp, and they're still holding on to everything they got. So who's going to have the advantage here? Well, the rider that is able to get it up to top speed quicker. So who's got the twitch to bring that bike up to top speed? That's where the advantage will be. Siegel has a little bit better positioning, but Baker does have a higher position on the hill, so we can use more of that to accelerate. Now as we exit turn 2, we're still here at this extraordinarily neutral position. Oh, man. Making me anxious. Alex Siegel still holding on to the speed. There's a move. All right, up we go right at the pursuit line. Uh-oh. Baker's looking down at his mechanics, wondering what's going on here. It didn't work. Think we had a pulled clip there, is might what happened, a pulled shoe. That will go in the direction of Siegel to take the matchup. Drawing now for the order is our 5 through 8 ride, 5th through 8th place positions in the sprint tournament for the Masters Cat 3 men. On deck, we will be going to the rep rides for the elite men. Rep rides for the elite men will be coming up here following this next group. Those two heats have been posted. That's Robert Gooch, Andy O'Mara, and Brent Berg. In the first heat, Heat 2 of the reps will be Arthur Schocken, Frank Kovacs, and Christian Miller. These 4 riders will be finishing up their sprint tournament with this competition right here for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. We'll get them started here in just a moment. One rider will find their way on the podium out of this race, the first rider across the line. Going like that, man, boys. All right, our 4 riders here on for their 2 laps for some places. We are fighting for 5th place at the front of this field, so certainly racing for something. Despite the fact they couldn't make the break for the top rounds in the sprint tournament, 5th place on the line for these 4 riders. Ken Dong is the rider leading the field right now. Shimada trying to match pace with him. Everybody's keeping looking over their shoulder. Who's sprinting? Who's sprinting? Are you? No, not yet. 1 to go. Ken Dong at the front, pulls up out of the sprinter's lane, now leaving all sorts of lanes available. He wants somebody else to lead this thing out. It'll be Shimada that'll take the bait on that one, thinking that he's got the speed necessary to just drag race out of turn 2. Shimada dragging real hard here through the back straight. He's still on the front. Waterman seems to want to get up to that wheel, and he hasn't found the speed yet. He's starting to accelerate. This for 5th place. Waterman coming out of the turn. He's making a run at it. Shimada's trying to hold on. Waterman will have enough. There you go. Yeah, an intriguing race there for what I was wondering what was going to happen on the back straight as Shimada was launching a big move out of turn 2. Waterman with just enough time to recover and get around to the front. Those riders are finished up with the sprint tournament today. Now, the reps for the elite men. The repechage is a second chance to get in. We saw this if you were here earlier for the Keirins with our elite women. Now, in the Pipe Broadmark Elite Men Sprint Tournament, our rep rides give these groups of 3 a chance to qualify if they win their heat. Closest to me along the rail will be Robert Gooch in the blue. In the white for Cyclemeisters, that's Brent Berg. Down away furthest from me is Andy O'Mara, lined up for this rep ride. Andy O'Mara will be forced to take the lead for a little bit, but he'll do so pretty quickly. So he comes right out of the start, moving along. 1 rider out of the 3 gets to continue into the rest of the sprint tournament. So 1 more qualifier will be found from this heat, and then 1 more from the next. So they didn't make it in the match sprint format when it was just 2 riders on track. Now they've got to beat 2 other people, 3 riders on track. So the stakes get a little bit higher. You've already ridden in another round of sprinting, so it's a little bit more taxing on the body. You've got another round to go. At 1 to go, O'Mara's really brought this thing up to speed. Brent Berg's looking over his shoulder, waiting for something to happen from the rider behind him. So we have kind of these multiple things that you're trying to pay attention to, both where O'Mara's in front of you, where's Gooch behind you. Brent Berg is going to try to make the move around O'Mara coming down the back straight. It looks like he's finding enough speed up and out of the saddle. A big effort to take the lead position, but they're not giving up on this yet. O'Mara does have the slipstream now himself. Could he possibly get a second attack? I don't think he's going to. Brent Berg looking to qualify. Will find it there by about a bike length, a little less than that. Coming onto track now, heat 2 of the reps. Masters and Cat 3 men sprint finals are coming up next. The first ride in the sprint finals is up next. In the white at the front of this group is Frank Kovacs. Right behind him, we've got Arthur Schocken, and then in the back end of the grouping is Christian Miller. Once again, just as we saw a moment ago, just one of these riders will qualify for continuing on into the tournament. The way the placing works for the riders that do not qualify is it's based on their 200-meter times from much earlier today. So it'll be ordered in the way that they are timed from the qualifying event, the 200-meter. Just to make it to this point, the riders did have to qualify out of 16 starters. They had to find a top 12 time, so there wasn't a real deep cut on that group, but you did have to make the cut initially. Then work through a couple more rounds just to get to these rep rides and see if you can find the second opportunity to make it into the semifinal round. Schocken leads the group still. Excuse me, that's Kovacs at the lead of the group with the white and black shorts. He's taking us down through turn 2 now as Schocken in the white and the neon green trying to match pace, but that's a big distance that our rider from Cyclemeisters has left open, and I don't know if they're going to be able to close that thing down in time. Kovacs riding it very well here, just keeping everybody defensively behind him and no chance to catch him. Kovacs will be seen again in the next round of the tournament. That will be a quarterfinal round. One of the things we will keep our eyes on as we go through these next rounds, if there is any delay, it's possibly because we're giving some extra rest time. So that is something for our spectators to be aware of, as riders do need some rest between. And I know we have a double dipping rider or two. So we'll make sure that that works out. Now in the final round of the sprint tournament for our Masters in Cat 3 men, these are best of threes. So these riders now have been paired up to compete for third and fourth place. Looking to take this first ride will set you up with advantage. It creates a good situation for you in that second ride. If you can go 2 in a row and the ride is over, you don't have to go to that third ride. If it goes back and forth, then obviously we need a tiebreaker and that third ride will occur. This is Andy Baker in the black and yellow with the white sweeping helmet. He's at the front right now. His competitor, Mcclintock, for the Split Mango team, is right behind him with the disc wheel and also a yellow and black kit. Baker faking speed there a little bit as he comes up to speed and quickly resets himself up to the rail. And Mcclintock will move to the front now. Maybe what Baker was looking for, not sure. Maybe that was his approach. On deck, we do have the first ride for the first and second place in the tournament, Lindquist and Siegel. The quarterfinals first ride will be coming up, or the one ride in quarterfinals for the elite men will be coming up following that. Coming down the back straight now, it's Mcclintock on the inside position, going toe-to-toe with Baker. Neither rider up to 100% speed. Right around that 65% or so mark. They're definitely rolling, but they're not sprinting yet. Mcclintock is guarding any movement from Baker to come down on the track. Baker's going to have to just sprint the long way around. Mcclintock trying to force a difficult move from Baker. Whoa. We'll wait on the official confirmation there. Baker will take the first ride in a close one. And again, another similar strategy we saw earlier. Ride someone near the rail really late. It can work. Baker finds a way to do it the long route. Still works out for him. So we'll see them again in the second ride. Baker now with advantage in that matchup. Now our ride for first and second. These two have been paired up for a best of three for the top two spots in the tournament. Alex Siegel is the rider in the black with some blue there in front. He's got the pink socks. If you want pink, look for Jack Lindquist right behind him. The two riders going head to head in this first matchup for first and second place for the Masters in the Cat 3 men competition. We got to give a nod to Jack Lindquist's history here at the track. He's won many times here in this event. No question that he's got quite the pedigree built up as a sprinter here on our track, in particular a winner several times in the Masters field. Siegel trying to challenge him here with this first matchup. We'll see how they choose to ride it. Siegel showed some incredible speed in that last match. We didn't get a good measure of it because we did have Andy Baker with that popped out pedal. Weren't able to really see what it really looked like against a competitor. So now we're going to wait to see what happens here in this first matchup between Lindquist and Siegel. The patient lap here. Not surprising considering these two riders and what's on the line. The mental games begin. Here we go along the rail once again here side by side with Lindquist, the rider that's caught at the rail at the moment. We're now entering the point at which most of our sprints happen. If you were to kind of chart it out, somewhere right in this area is where the real sprinting usually begins. But today we've seen a real habit to move that sprint later and later. Here we are again as we roll downhill out of the turn 2 and back up into turn 3. We're still only just rolling up. Seagull moving a little bit left and right on the track. He's trying to hold on to his position, and now he's going to force Lindquist into a similar position we saw a moment ago. Seagull, Lindquist. Whoa! I think it was Lindquist on the outside that'll take it, but it was close. He had the run-up speed he needed. Accelerated at the last second to grab it. No question, a close matchup between these two. Is there anybody out there for Alex Seagull? Anybody? The enthusiastic response is appreciated. Karlberg and Kovacs are coming up here now for Heat 1 in the first of this one ride for the quarterfinals for our elite men. On deck is Heat 2, Christensen and Berg. Heat 3 is Hartman and McLaughlin. And Heat 4 is Davies and Lindquist. Now we go into the quarterfinals. This for the elite men in the sprints. Pied Broadmark rider Andrew Karlberg in the second position. He's got bib 101 on. In front of him with number 149 is Frank Kovacs. Now the benefit for Karlberg having gotten the fastest time of the 200-meter qualifier is that he is paired up against the slower time that's left in the tournament. So though Kovacs put on an impressive effort in the reps and showed that he has plenty of speed to offer, he's paired this way due to his qualifying speed being 8th fastest of the remaining riders. So that's how that works out. Again, we saw this earlier for our Masters and our Cat 3 men. As we work through these rounds in the quarterfinals, by the numbers, it should get a little closer. But we did see an impressive ride for Kovacs not too long ago. So Karlberg certainly has his work cut out for him. He's going to be Kovacs in the lead position right now, the rider in the white jersey. On deck, we'll have our second heat of Christensen versus Berg. They are followed by Hartman and McLaughlin. Dropping out of turn 2, it'll be Karlberg that'll try to take the initial leap of power here, trying to get himself right up to speed down to that sprinter's lane quickly. As he goes through turns 3 and 4, he's got himself a pretty good position, trying to force Kovacs to recover back on his wheel. Karlberg looks over the right side and sees that the sprint is over. We'll see Kovacs again riding in the 5th through 8th place ride, so his day is not over. We will see Karlberg carrying on into the semifinals. Joe Christensen is the rider in the black and blue. That's the Star Track team. Brent Berg for Cyclemeisters in the white and black. We saw his teammate just a moment ago. Now Berg is going to be taking on Christensen, which was the second fastest qualifier in the 200 meters earlier. Did not have to ride in a rep. He's a little bit fresher. As they move through these turns on the first lap, Christensen finds himself still in that same spot, right in front of Berg by a small margin, but moving slowly enough that their positioning could change rapidly here through the next 100 and 200 meters. As the bell was ringing at 1 to go, same speed as they come down to the sprinters lane. Christensen still just watching, waiting to see when the movements from Berg might come, not wanting to start the sprint too early. Under the Greg Cycle sign, still waiting for the attack to come from either rider. This has been a day of later sprints in general for our Velodrome, and we're seeing yet another one as they cross the 200-meter line. Practically going nowhere for sprinters. Now Berg will start it over the right shoulder. Joe Christensen knows he's got a lot of racing to do, so maybe he's trying to conserve some energy here. And he's got enough to win that one. He will advance. We'll see Berg again racing for 5th through 8th place. Heat 3 will be the matchup of Joshua Hartman, the rider in second position in the blue and black for Star Trek Racing, taking on Stephen McClintock of Bike Central. Still here in the quarterfinal round, so the winner will advance to the semis. The second place finisher will be going on to 5th through 8th place ride later. On deck will be Heat 4. We're looking for Davies and Lindquist in that matchup. McClintock will be ramping it up to speed here, trying to keep some distance between him and Hartman, as he knows the top speed advantage might be to the youngster, our rider from Star Trek, Josh Pro, making a run at it. McClintock still in the lead position. Now the second gear engaged, almost like he somehow is able to shift that bike. Hartman, with the nice acceleration turns 3 and 4, will come out on top of this one. Our final heat in the quarterfinals for the elite men. Tyler Davies, Jack Lindquist. On deck, ride 2 for the Masters and Cat 3 men. We'll find one more rider that'll advance to the semifinal round from this matchup. Lindquist, the rider in front. Tyler Davies is the rider behind him in the blue. Both riders sporting the color coordinated rear disc wheel. By their times, this is a pretty close matchup according to their 200-meter efforts earlier today. In the sprint finals, second ride is coming up next. That is after this race. So we'll be looking for Mcclintock and Baker again to check in for their second ride. They'll be followed by Siegel and Lindquist. As the bell rings, both riders still waiting for their move as they hit turn 2. Lindquist at the blue line, with Davies happy to be on his wheel, looking like he's going to start to attack, but decides instead to roll it a little bit here down the back straight. Both riders now up and out of the saddle, with Davies on the inside. A little bit of contact coming into turn 3, but Davies takes the lead position, and he's diving for that line now. It looks like it'll be Davies taking that one. Siegel's showing me the sign for the watch here, so not sure where we are on time. Mcclintock, the rider, in a slight lead position right now, down in the sprinter's lane in the second ride, is looking to get a victory here. If he does not, these two riders will be all finished up, with Baker finishing in third. That's the rider with the white helmet on. The rider with the disc wheel is looking for his first victory in this matchup. The best of three for third and fourth place. Split Mango Racing at the front. Pyatt Broadmark right behind him. They've held this position throughout this first lap. Again, Mcclintock finds himself in that do-or-die race right now. You can see him just waiting for Baker to find a little bit of acceleration here. He'll do so as they come into turn one. Nothing significant. Using about 30% of their speed here, even that, trying to keep it together. Third turns 1 and 2. Mcclintock down the back straight is in that sprinter's lane still. Now Baker will be the one to jump. Baker able to get the speed pretty quickly, maybe too fast for Mcclintock to find a response. It'll be Baker going 2 out of the 3 rides, finishing in third place overall in our Masters Cat 3 Men's Sprints Tournament. Coming on track now, we have our ride for first and second in the Masters Cat 3 Men. It's Lindquist versus Siegel. Lindquist, the rider in the pink kit, is the rider with advantage here in a very close ride in the first matchup. Our double-dipping rider, Lindquist, will have to see if he can find another one here to retire the matchup, or if they're going to be forcing a third ride if Siegel can get to the line first. On deck, the semifinals for the Elite Men. That'll be followed by the 5th through 8th place rides for the Elite Men. Those rides coming up here soon. We're posting those on the infield as I speak. Lindquist in the sprinter's lane in front of Siegel. Again, the rider in pink is the one with advantage. Lindquist was waiting for Siegel to make a jump. That's why I kept looking between the legs. Siegel making a good move around the right-hand side. Lindquist not going to be able to find the response needed. They will have to ride a third time to figure out who comes out on top of this competition. We do have a bit of wait time between our races here. There is a required 10-minute for the same category to run back-to-back, so we are waiting at least 3 minutes. Sounds like about a 4-minute or so break here to ensure that the time has been given for this next ride to begin. All right, following that short break, we are back with it. We are into the semifinal rounds now for the elite men in this sprint tournament this afternoon. It's been a long couple days. We have Andrew Karlberg for the Broadmark Capital team on the inside position. Tyler Davies for elite race team will be on his right, closer to the rail. These two are going to be fighting for a position in the first and second place ride. On deck, Joe Christensen and Joshua Hartman. Star Trek going head to head. Following that, we will move into the 5th through 8th place ride. We will be doing the podiums, I've been told, for the Masters and Cat 3 men sprint tournament at the end of the session, since that will be all concluded before we are done with this session. Again, we will do our podiums for the Masters and the Cat 3 men before we take off from session 4. Karlberg at the front of this one as the bell rings. They're definitely rolling up to speed, though, with Davies keeping it pretty close to the rear wheel. The winning rider gets to ride for first and second place. As they come in turn 2, Davies will be the one to take the left-hand turn first, trying to get the shorter part of the track for him. Karlberg now forced an all-out sprint on the longer way around the track. Davies really driving it here. Karlberg keeping it neck and neck. Karlberg needs to find a little more speed, and it looks like he's on his way. Davies recognizes it and gives him his congratulations. Well done, sir. Joe Christensen will be the rider in the inside position to start, with Joshua Hartman along the rail. One rider to advance for first and second place ride. The other will go to third and fourth. In the best of 3 finals, those finals will be held during tonight's program. Over in turn 2, it's still Christensen with the lead position, as Hartman will use a little bit higher position on the track, now swinging down into that sprinter's lane. He wants that space for himself. Working hard here to position themselves. Definitely playing a little bit of some games here, positioning on the track. Especially Hartman using some of his agility to try to outmaneuver around where Christensen's located. Back and forth he moves. He's happy to be on the wheel, though. He'll benefit from the draft as they begin to pick up some speed here. Christensen waiting right in the lead spot to see if Hartman will make the jump. He knows if he can just carry this positioning close to the finish line, he has a good advantage because he's got the shorter distance to go. But he doesn't want to give too much time for Hartman to benefit from his lead. Here they go. So now it's going to be about the twitch reaction from Hartman. Christensen, Hartman. Hartman with a great move here. It'll be enough. A nice head-to-head there. They'll give themselves a good fist bump there through turns 2 and into the back straight. Off they go. Couple events left to go here. We have the 5th through 8th place ride for the elite men coming on up now. We have one third ride left for the Masters Cat 3 men event. It'll be Siegel and Lindquist for their third ride to settle the tie there. They're both at 1 victory each. All right, change of plan there for the podiums. We'll do that at the beginning of the next session since we have lost 1 or 2 of our folks that would be podium because we didn't put it in the schedule. So appreciate the flexibility. We will go ahead and delay that to the beginning of our next session. This is for 5th place as well as 6th, 7th, and 8th, although the riders are gunning for 5th right now on the Elite Sprint Tournament. First rider across the line, podiums in the event. 1 to go. Brent Berg is the rider in the front position. Next to him is Lindquist. And right behind them is McLaughlin. But the first to jump is the one we haven't talked about yet, Frank Kovacs of Cyclomeisters. McLaughlin doing a nice job matching that rear wheel and trying to get up into the slipstream. First rider across the line is going to pick up a 5th place in the tournament. 3 riders coming out of this turn with McLaughlin looking like he's on his way to do so. And that'll do it for these 4 riders in the elite category for our sprint tournament. It'll be McLaughlin that'll be on the podium. Our last event here of the session is coming up here shortly. We've got a matchup between Seagull and Lindquist coming up here in just a moment. And in this best of three, we have gone to a third ride between these two. They are tied up one apiece. Lindquist is in the outside position right now, close to the rail. Right down the middle, Alex Seagull in the black with some blue highlights will be taking on this head-to-head matchup. The winner will be in first place in the Masters in Cat 3 Sprint Tournament. Through the back half of this first lap, it is Seagull slightly ahead of Lindquist, but currently it's all about the positioning. Back and forth in the tactics and the approach. In turn 3, the approach is to go pretty slow here. A lot of patience from the two riders. Holding off. It's Seagull looking over each shoulder, just keeping an eye on Lindquist behind him. Lindquist now opening up a little bit of room for himself to maneuver, allowing him to run at that wheel a little bit before making a move. Kind of come back together again in the straight. There's the bell at 1 to go. This for our top places on the podium for the Masters Cat 3 Men Sprint Tournament. Calm and cool at this moment. Both riders focused on the smallest movements of the other rider. Any little twitch or flex of a muscle could cause a reaction. Coming down into turn 2, that's where the ramp really helps you accelerate. It's still Seagull of the shorter line. He's trying to keep Lindquist from making a move around him. Lindquist got a good sprint here on the right side. Now Lindquist is going to try to do a double move. Seagull's just got the shorter lane though, and I think he's got the fresher legs here. Alex Seagull will take it.